What is going on, nieces and nephews? Starting on something a little bit different tonight. It has been hotter than the surface of the sun here the last couple of days. We're talking triple digits. So those after work and daytime rides have been a no-go. So we're starting something here tonight at night, and it's still 90 degrees out here. But it feels a lot better. And I really don't have, one, anywhere to go, and two, really any topic that I had planned. So I figured, why not make this a who is Uncle Ninja? Who am I? Like, where did I come from? How did I get where I'm at? So first thing is, if you've seen any of my previous videos, I'm a brand new rider. I'm an older brand new rider. And when I say older, like I legit mean that I'm probably old enough to be most of y'all's uncles. And my kids are grown. When I say grown, I mean grown. One is already out of the house. The other one is planning on fleeing shortly, once he saves some money. So he does live with me full time at the moment. I'm divorced, so there was just never really the right time for me to start motorcycling when I was younger, because I got married, and had my first kid in my mid-20s. Was married for almost 12 years, together with her for nearly 15. So, you know, having a wife, having younger kids, you know, it just wasn't in the cards for me at the time. It just wasn't the right time. I had too many responsibilities, and honestly, probably not enough money back then either, you know. And so, you know, figuring all that and where I'm at now in my life, I've got a decent job. I mean, more than decent. It pays well. It pays decent, you know. I'm not struggling, and it's probably a place that I'll retire from. The YouTube thing would have to just go insanely Mr. Beast crazy for me to probably even think about quitting my day job. Probably not really something that I'm going to do, at least anytime soon. And so here I am now. Oh, buddy, I'm a little ninja too. That's nice. Look at that. Hey, buddy. And so, you know, here I am. You know, a few months ago, I was thinking to myself, you know, I've got no debt. Like, besides the house that I had with the ex, I didn't have any debt. You know, I don't have the house any longer, that house any longer, because we sold it during the divorce. And so I don't have any debt, or I didn't have any debt. Never had a credit card in my life. Just something that I chose not to do because I kind of know myself, and I didn't necessarily trust myself with credit. And so I never got a credit card. I never accrued any student debt. So I didn't have anything like that either. But with that as well comes along that I had to build my credit before I got my bike so that I could get a decent loan. Because I did finance my bike. I got it for MSRP, $63.99. We won't really talk about the dealer fees because that's going to be different everywhere. But you know, you've got your DMV registration fees, you've got your loading fee, dock fees, and all of that other BS. So it's going to vary. You know, you're looking at generally probably $1,000 to $2,000 in dealership fees, depending on where you go, how bad they want to sell the bike. And so I built my credit before getting my loan to finance the bike, and I got a good loan interest rate. It's mid to upper single digits. So, you know, I did my work to be able to get this bike, and really the only reason I financed it was to build my credit in case I ever need it for any type of bigger purchases. I just, you know, even already having this loan and paying things on time has already jumped my credit score even further, way more than I had expected. So here I am, and to kind of give you a little bit of background on my automotive scene experience is growing up as a kid, you know, because I'm a Gen Xer, I grew up on BMX bikes, right? So it's not like I was a complete newbie when it came to two-wheel vehicles. A lot of the basics were already understood by me, counter steering and balance and things like that. So, but growing up, when I first got my license, I was into the import scene for the longest time. My first car, because when I kind of do projects, as you know, as well with this one, I had an Integra, but I had imported the Japanese front end from Japan, directly imported it from Japan. Because they have one-piece headlights and just way different, and so I cut off the radiator support, moved the radiator, hood latches and everything, bought the fenders, lights, hood, imported from Japan. Look at this, like really? Like, see these cagers, like this I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut. Of course, it's an Audi driver. Like, you guys got to be careful, because these cagers, they just don't give a damn. Like this dude, I was in front of him, and he had to, of course, go in front of my way like an ass. And so I had an Integra, JDM Integra front, and I did all of JDM interior, steering wheel, Alcantara seats, center console. I even imported the gauge cluster from Japan. So it was decked out JDM just about as much as you could get. And one night, literally one night, I forgot to turn my alarm on, and it got stolen. And being a 96 Integra, one of the most stolen cars back then, because it was just, they're so easy to steal if you don't have any type of theft deterrent. I mean, they're just super easy to steal. And so that kind of took me out of the import scene, because I had spent a lot of time and money on that car, and I loved that car. That was my baby. I had repainted it after getting all of the parts and everything, and so it was nice, and it was my baby, and I got stolen, and so it just kind of made me not want to do imports or anything like that anymore, just because I didn't want to have to do it all over again. So that took me out of that. But at the same time, I also had my main car, and this might kind of give you an idea of me growing up, because I'm quite a bit different than I was when I was younger. But at 17, I bought a 61 Impala bubble top and ended up putting hydraulics on it, 2 pumps, 10 batteries, 13 switches, triple gold roasters, system. You know, it banged. Like, you could hear me from half a mile away almost. I mean, it was just, think of your typical lowrider in the 90s, and that's what I had. I had even back then there was it might still be around, I don't know, but there was this magazine called Lowriders Magazine, and they used to throw car shows up here all the time, and I actually got featured in a episode, or not episode, but in an issue of Lowrider Magazine with my car, because it was that nice. It was a really nice car, and I had that for the longest time. I actually ended up having to sell it while my divorce was going on. I won't really need to get into the reasons why, except that, you know, I needed the money and it was worth a lot, and so I sold it to one of my good friends who ended up fully restoring it and making it even nicer. So I have some regrets there, but it went to a good home and got done up really good. And so since then, I really haven't been into cars or anything. And so several months ago, I kind of got this itch and decided to go take the MSF. And we all know how that, you know, how that worked out. If you've seen any of my previous videos, my first video back, that didn't go too well. I almost quit until I kind of remembered that, you know, I'm not really a quitter. And so I doubled down and learned what I needed to learn, and here I am. So that's kind of, but you know, the 61 Impala could kind of give you an idea of the crowd that I used to run around with. You know, these days you know, age and kids, they'll definitely change your perspective on things, change your personality a bit. You know, I'm not your typical Gen Xer either. In some aspects, absolutely. Like, you don't really want to mess with us because we just don't care. You know, I grew up as a latchkey kid, fending for myself at, you know, 12. And so these days, you know, I'm really nerdy, really techie. Let's look through this. And so I decided to take this journey, and I couldn't have made a better decision. I was at a point in life where nothing was really going bad, nothing was really going good. I was just kind of existing day to day so that I was getting through one day just so I could get through the next day. You know, there was nothing to look forward to. But this bike has kind of changed all of that. Like, I can't wait to go riding at night, right? Like, and you know, I don't necessarily live in the big city. I'm kind of out on the suburbs, so there isn't really a whole lot of action out here. So, you know, there's not really many places that I go. I just kind of cruise around and go wherever I feel like it, you know, and especially at night it's kind of nice because there's not a whole lot of traffic, so it's kind of nice. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. You know, these videos, as we kind of progress, you know, I'm not really going to be the guy that actually does a lot of the shenanigans, but I'm that uncle, right, that's going to be egging them on right in the middle, in the thick of things, but just enough to where I'm not getting in trouble, right? And that's kind of how my riding style is as well, is that I'm not necessarily an adrenaline junkie. I don't necessarily like to go super fast, but at the same time, I also like to, you know, kick up through the gears. I like to get up there real quick and then back it down. And so when people say that, you know, I'm going to get bored of the 500, I don't understand that. Like, I don't really understand when people say that they outgrew a bike, especially as a beginner. Let's clarify. As a beginner, when people say they outgrew the bike in a month, 2 months, I just don't understand that. So, because it's been a month, almost 1,500 miles, and I'm still having a blast, and I'm still learning the limits of this bike. You know, have I taken it up pretty quick? Yeah. But like, I'm not bored of it. How can you get bored of something that's Like, look at this. This thing is so light, I can just throw this thing around like it's nothing. Like, literally like it's nothing. And it's just super fun. Oh, and another thing I actually want to bring up as well is some eagle-eyed viewers might have seen it, and I want to kind of address it so you don't think I'm doing anything fishy, but some eagle-eyed viewers may have seen that I am not running a license plate. If you actually go back a couple videos when I'm doing a walk around of my bike and I get to the back and I start talking about the tail tidy, I pause for a brief second. I play it off really well, but it was enough of a pause because at that moment I realized that my temp trip permit that the dealership gave me was stolen. I just kept going though. So yeah, I don't run a plate, but I did file a police report, did speak with an officer, did go down to DMV, and from everything that they told me, because before I went to the DMV, I checked my mail and I actually got my registration. I just don't have my plate. So they've issued the plate. I've got my registration, but I just don't have the plate. And so the guy at DMV and then even the cop that I spoke with just said if I get pulled over, just give them my registration, give them the police report number, give them his name, and I should be fine because I do have insurance, I've got my endorsement, everything is legal. I do have a plate, I just don't have the plate. And it's been now almost 2 weeks since getting my registration and no plate, so I don't know. And so yeah, I fully expect that if a cop gets behind me, I'm gonna get pulled over. Hasn't happened quite yet, but I'm just waiting for it to happen. I know it's going to happen. So we'll see. We'll kind of see what happens with that. Wasn't paying attention. See, that's why you got to pay attention. So yeah, if any eagle-eye viewers did notice that I'm not running a plate, that's why. I'm not doing anything fishy. I'm not planning on running from cops. That's just stupid. I've got way too much to lose to run from cops or do anything silly like that. That's just not me. Will we have some fun on the bike? Yeah. We definitely gonna do some stuff, but running from the cops and doing hooligan stuff like that's just not my thing. So if that's what you're gonna expect out of this channel, you're not gonna see it from me, at least. Maybe from people around me, you know, because I have, you know, I'm not a super social guy, but you know, riding a bike is kind of a new concept for me when it comes to the community, because you know, most bikers, you know, there's a lot of camaraderie there, whether you know them or not, right? You like the biker waves, and, you know, that type of interaction with strangers is just kind of new for me, and it's, you know, still something I got to get used to, and you know, I'll be going to car meets, and you know, I already go to there's this pretty big organization that puts on car meets around here that I try to go to every time they throw them. They're just pop-ups, and you know, they have really good turnouts. Not a whole lot of bikes, but there are some. I have met a few guys that live around me that bike. There is also this other YouTube, Jess Everything, at Jess Everything. Go check him out. It's kind of funny because the way I learned of him was that I actually saw a YouTube video of him getting pulled over, and that went semi-viral, and I was like, hey, I know exactly where that's at. And then I was at a meet, and he was actually there, so I hooked up with him, and we were supposed to go on a couple rides, but like we were going to go on one yesterday, but it was just too hot. It was like 99 degrees out, so I don't think they ended up going out. So, you know, we'll see what kind of content we end up getting, but I think, you know, I don't really have much more to say. So hopefully the sound of this new Graves comes through, which it really doesn't on video. I wish y'all could really get a better audio of it, but we'll kind of end this with just a little night rip around in this heat. Don't really got anywhere to go. You know, it's 10:30 at night, not a whole lot of traffic. It's a lot cooler out than it was earlier. It's still pretty warm. I'd say it's probably still 85 out here, easily. But yeah, appreciate it, y'all. Ride safe out there. What the f? See, even when I flashed my lights, people, that car still was about to come out. So that's why you gotta pay attention out here. Like, these bright ass lights, I flashed them coming up to the intersection for the other car that was coming this way, and this dude over here still was about to run into my ass, right? So you always got to pay attention. Like, that was just absolutely ridiculous. You guys got to pay attention. That's why, like, the evasive maneuver in the MSF class is something that you need to practice. Emergency braking, all of that stuff, you got to practice, because there's idiots like that out on the road just not completely paying attention. How do you miss a motorcycle coming up to an intersection that's flashing its lights? Like, I don't understand. So, y'all, you gotta ride safe out there. You know, it's gotta ride safe. So everybody be careful out there with these cagers, because they don't care. Ridiculous. That was almost the end of Uncle Ninja.